It was a dark and stormy night on the outer colony road of Varan Prime. The sky flashed with electric blue lightning, and the air smelled of burning dust. Elias Trent, a human cargo driver, was driving his old hover truck through the endless night, his tired eyes scanning the road ahead. He had spent years delivering scrap and spare parts between forgotten worlds, and he often joked that no one would notice if he vanished in the storm. As his truck's sensors blinked red, something flickered on the roadside. A small figure huddled beside a broken hover crate. Elias slowed down. The headlights cut through the dust and rain, revealing what looked like a little girl. Her skin was pale silver, glowing faintly under the rain, her clothes torn, and her big eyes filled with tears. He jumped out of the truck, rain hitting his coat as he ran toward her. "Hey, are you hurt?" he called out. The girl flinched and tried to crawl away, her thin hands shaking. "Don't hurt me," she whispered, her voice trembling like a frightened bird. Elias froze, realizing she wasn't human up close. He saw small ridges on her neck, a faint glow under her skin, and eyes like liquid sapphire. She was an alien child. No older than 8, easy. "Kid," he said softly, kneeling beside her. "I won't hurt you." The girl looked up, blinking through the rain. "She left me," she said. "My stepmother left me here. She said humans are monsters." Her words hit Elias harder than the storm. He looked around, no one else was there. Just broken crates and an empty road stretching to darkness. Elias sighed, running a hand through his wet hair. "Well, whoever said that doesn't know me," he said quietly. "Come on, you'll freeze out here." He reached out his hand, but the girl hesitated, staring at him with fear and hope mixed together. When her small hand finally touched his, a faint spark of light flashed between them. Elias gasped, the air around them humming for a second. "What the?" he muttered, looking at his palm, but the glow was gone. He quickly carried her to his truck, wrapping her in an old blanket inside the cabin. The truck's AI spoke in its usual cold tone. "Unknown life form detected, Elias. Report to Central Security." Elias frowned. "Yeah, how about no?" he muttered, switching off the alert. "She's just a kid." The girl shivered, clutching the blanket. "What's your name?" Elias asked. "Lyra," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "All right, Lyra, I'm Elias," he said. "You're safe now." As the truck drove through the storm again, Elias noticed strange readings on his dashboard. Power surges, lights flickering. "What's going on?" he asked. The AI answered, "Energy interference. Unknown source." He looked back at Lyra. Her eyes glowed faintly, the color shifting with each lightning flash. She looked scared. "I didn't mean to," she said. "Sometimes it happens when I'm sad." Elias gave a small smile. "That's okay, kid. Sadness is part of being alive." For a while, silence filled the cabin. Only the sound of rain and the hum of the engine echoed. Lyra stared out the window, her reflection shimmering like starlight. "He said I was a mistake," she murmured suddenly. "He said I shouldn't exist." Elias turned his head slightly. "Who said that?" "My stepmother," Lyra said. "She said I was cursed, that if anyone found out who I am, the galaxy would come for me." Elias frowned. "Sounds like she's the cursed one for leaving a child out here." He didn't understand what she meant by who I am, but something deep inside told him she was different. Not just another alien, something rare, something dangerous, or something precious. An hour later, Elias stopped near an abandoned fuel station. He gave her a cup of warm synth tea, the closest thing to comfort he had. Lyra held it carefully, her small hands glowing faintly through the metal cup. "You're really not afraid of me?" she asked, her eyes searching his face. Elias laughed softly. "I've seen plasma storms, pirate raids, and a drunk space yak trying to sing karaoke, kid. You don't scare me." She smiled faintly for the first time, but before he could relax, a warning flashed across his console. "Galactic Authority alert, missing subject. Code Seraph-01, extreme caution. Reward, 1,000 credits." Elias's eyes widened. "Seraph?" he whispered. He looked at Lyra. Her eyes glowed brighter, the same hue as the alert display. That's you, isn't it?" he asked. Lyra looked down, silent tears falling. "They're coming," she said. "They always find me." Elias took a deep breath, looking at the dark sky outside. "Not this time," he said. Turning the ignition to full power, the hover truck roared, engines heating as it lifted above the road, lightning flashing behind them. Lyra looked at him with wide eyes. "Why are you helping me?" she asked. Elias glanced at her and said simply, "Because no one helped me when I needed it, outside." Shadows moved in the storm. Small drones scanning the ground, flashing red lights searching for their target. Elias pushed the engine harder, the truck trembling as it broke through the storm wall. Disappearing into the night, Lyra closed her eyes, her small hands glowing again. The truck system stabilized. The engines hummed smoother as if responding to her touch. Elias noticed but said nothing. He just smiled slightly. "Guess we make a good team, huh?" She nodded softly. "Thank you," she whispered. Her voice calm now, almost peaceful. Elias looked at her through the dim light, and for a brief moment he forgot she was alien. She was just a scared little girl who needed someone. As the storm cleared behind them, the Galactic patrol ships appeared in the sky. Scanning the land they had just left, Elias didn't look back. He just tightened his grip on the controls, whispering to himself, "Hang on, kid. We're not out of this yet." Somewhere in the dark, a signal was sent, a single line of text echoing across the galactic net. "The Seraph child has been found, and she is with a human." And so began the story that would soon shake the galaxy, one act of kindness at a time. The next morning the storm had passed, but the danger had not. Elias's truck floated quietly through the dusty plains of old Earth's outer colonies. The girl, Lyra, slept curled up under a blanket, her silver hair glimmering faintly in the morning light. Elias had driven through the night, taking hidden paths only smugglers knew. He stopped his hover truck outside a large junkyard filled with old engines, metal scraps, and forgotten tech. This was his home, a broken place for broken things. He carried Lyra inside, placing her near a warm power coil that acted as a heater. She stirred awake, blinking in confusion. "Where are we?" she asked softly. Elias smiled. "Safe for now," he said, pouring a cup of warm tea substitute. "This is my workshop." "Don't mind the mess." Lyra looked around, her eyes scanning everything, the tools, the flickering lights, the mechanical arms hanging from the ceiling. Then something strange happened. The old power coils that hadn't worked in years suddenly flickered to life. The broken holoscreen repaired itself, and the air purifier hummed like new. Elias stared in disbelief. "What did you just do?" he asked. Lyra looked down, her fingers glowing faintly blue. "I don't know. Sometimes things listen to me," she said quietly. Elias rubbed the back of his neck. "Well, you just saved me a week of repairs," he said, trying to sound calm, but his heart was racing that afternoon. Elias activated his old scanner to check her health, but the results shocked him. The scanner couldn't read her DNA. It only displayed one word. "Classified." He frowned. "What are you, kid?" he muttered. Lyra's expression turned sad. "I'm different," she said. "My people call me a seraphim." Elias looked up sharply. "Seraphim? The same ones from the war stories? The shining race that disappeared?" She nodded slowly. "They said our kind were destroyed, but I was born after, hidden away." Elias sat down, his mind spinning. "Then why did your stepmother abandon you?" he asked. Lyra hesitated. "She wasn't really my mother," she said softly. "She was my caretaker. She said I carried something inside me that could destroy everything. She was ordered to erase me." Elias clenched his fists. "Erase you? You're just a kid," he said. "You didn't do anything wrong." Lyra looked up with tears forming in her glowing eyes. "But they're afraid of me," she whispered. "Afraid of what I might become." The words echoed in the workshop. For the first time, Elias felt the weight of something much bigger than himself. He had picked up a scared child on a stormy road, but now he realized he might be hiding the most wanted being in the galaxy. He went outside to think, the wind howling over the junkyard above him. Faint flashes of light moved in the sky, patrol drones. They were scanning sectors. Elias cursed under his breath. "They're already looking." He went back inside. Lyra was sitting quietly, holding an old mechanical bird Elias had built years ago. Her hands glowed faintly as she touched it, and the bird suddenly moved, its wings fluttering to life. She smiled for the first time. "It remembers," she said softly. Elias watched, stunned. "You can bring things back," he said. "Machines, energy, everything." She looked at him. "I don't bring them back," she said. "I remind them what they were meant to be." Something about her words felt ancient. Wise beyond her age, Elias knelt beside her. "Lyra, do you know what's inside you? What they're afraid of?" She shook her head. "Only pieces," she said. "Sometimes I see lights, worlds burning, voices saying, The dawn must not awaken, Elias frowned. The dawn? He repeated. But before Lyra could answer, a high-pitched alarm rang through the junkyard. His sensors picked up movement. A drone swarm, fast approaching. Hide, he shouted, grabbing his pulse rifle. Lyra ducked behind an engine block. The sky filled with searchlights, metallic wings slicing through the dust. This is Galactic enforcement, a robotic voice called out. All humans are ordered to report unidentified lifeforms. Elias didn't reply. He took aim and fired at a drone. Sparks exploded. You picked the wrong junkyard, he yelled. 2 more drones swooped down, but before they could fire, the lights around the yard began to flicker wildly. Lyra stepped out from her hiding spot, her eyes glowing bright white, the energy around her swirling like a small storm. The drones froze in midair, their circuits sparking, then dropped to the ground, smoking. Elias lowered his weapon slowly, staring at her. You just shut them down, he whispered. Lyra looked scared. I didn't mean to, she said. It just happens when I'm afraid. Elias walked toward her, placing a hand on her shoulder. It's all right, he said. You saved us. She shook her head. No. They'll know where we are now. Elias knew she was right. The Galactic Council would send more than drones next time. Then we move, he said. I know an old pilot friend off-world. He owes me a favor. Lyra looked uncertain. You'd take me with you? She asked. Elias nodded. You're not alone anymore. Kid? As they loaded supplies into the freighter hidden beneath the junkyard, Elias glanced at the night sky. Ships patrolled the horizon like silent predators. Who are you really, Lyra? He whispered. She looked at him, her eyes shimmering with sadness. I'm the last light they tried to erase, she said softly. As the ship engines roared to life, Lyra looked back at the junkyard, her small hands glowing faintly. Every broken light flickered on, every machine hummed one last time, as if saying goodbye. And as the freighter lifted into the night sky, Elias couldn't shake the feeling that this child would either save the galaxy or destroy it. The freighter shuddered as it broke through the thick atmosphere of Earth's colony skies. Elias gripped the controls tightly, his hands sweating. The old ship, once called the Horizon, was never meant to fly again. Dust and rust covered every panel, but somehow it was alive again, glowing softly under Lyra's touch. Hold on, kid, Elias muttered. The engines roared like thunder. We're punching through orbit. Behind them, bright lights filled the sky. Galactic enforcement ships, sleek and deadly, closing fast. Lyra sat in the co-pilot's chair, her small fingers gripping the edges. They're coming, she said, her eyes glowing faintly blue. They won't stop. Elias glanced at her. Yeah, well, neither will we, he said, slamming the throttle forward. The Horizon shot into the upper atmosphere, flames streaking along its hull. Alarms blared, warning lights flashing. Warning, the ship's AI crackled. Structural integrity at 60%, Elias cursed. 60's good enough. With a burst of light, the ship tore into space, stars appearing like diamonds against the black. But the calm lasted only seconds. A laser beam shot past, rocking the ship. Lyra screamed as debris clattered around them. They hit the stabilizer, Elias shouted. Hang on. He flipped a series of switches, rerouting power manually. Come on, girl. Don't die on me now, he muttered to the ship. Then something strange happened. Lyra closed her eyes and placed her glowing hands on the console. The humming engine steadied, the flickering lights turned bright again, and the damaged stabilizer repaired itself before Elias's eyes. The AI's voice changed, becoming deeper, almost human. Captain Elias Trent, it said. It has been a long time, Elias froze. What? Horizon, he whispered. The AI continued. Systems restored, awaiting your command. Elias looked at Lyra. What did you do? He asked. She opened her eyes. I think I woke her up, she said. The galactic ships were still chasing them, their lasers slicing through the void. Elias clenched his jaw. Then let's give them a reason to stop, he said. Horizon. Engage full burn. The ship responded instantly, thrusters roaring to life, leaving bright trails of light. The human freighter, long forgotten and obsolete, now flew faster than any standard ship. The enemy fire missed by inches. Lyra stared out the window, her reflection glowing in the starlight. Why do they hate us so much? She asked. Because they fear what they don't understand, Elias said. And fear makes people cruel. They sped past the outer ring of satellites. Diving into a dense asteroid field, rocks the size of cities drifted silently. Elias navigated through narrow gaps. Engines screaming, "If we hit one of these, we're space dust," he muttered. Lyra closed her eyes again, and the asteroids began to shift slightly, just enough for them to pass safely. Elias blinked. "Did you just move space rocks with your mind?" She opened one eye and smiled weakly. "Maybe." Behind them, one of the pursuing ships wasn't so lucky. It clipped an asteroid and exploded, sending shockwaves across the field. Elias grinned. "Nice work, kid." They finally broke free into open space, the stars stretching endlessly ahead. Elias leaned back, exhausted but relieved. "We made it," he said. Lyra smiled softly, but her expression soon darkened. "They won't stop," she whispered. "Not until they have me." Elias sighed. "Then we'll just have to stay ahead of them," he said. "I know a place from an old friend of mine on Titan Outpost. He owes me a few favors." As they drifted through the quiet of deep space, Lyra began asking questions. "Why did humans leave Earth's center worlds?" she asked. Elias stared at the stars. "Because the galaxy never forgave us for being different," he said. "They called us Deathworlders, said we were too dangerous. Too wild." Lyra tilted her head. "But you saved me," she said. "You don't seem dangerous." Elias laughed quietly. "That's what makes us dangerous," he said. "We care too much." Hours passed as they traveled through the darkness. Then the ship's radar pinged. "Incoming transmission." Elias frowned. "Horizon identify," the AI replied. "Encrypted galactic message. Origin unknown." He hesitated but played it. The screen flickered, showing a shadowed figure in a high-collar uniform. "To whoever shelters the Seraphim child," the voice said coldly, "you are aiding a threat to galactic order. Surrender her, and your death will be swift." The transmission ended. Silence filling the cabin. Elias clenched his fists. "They really don't give up," he muttered. Lyra's voice was quiet. "You should have left me there," she said. Elias turned sharply. "Don't ever say that again," he said, his voice firm. "You didn't ask to be born into this mess." She looked down, her silver hair falling over her face. "They say I can destroy worlds," she whispered. Elias softened. "Then let's make sure you don't have to." Moments later, the ship's proximity alarm screamed. "Multiple contacts," Horizon said. "Interceptors incoming," Elias groaned. "They found us again." The freighter twisted and turned as beams of red light cut through space. "Explosions lighting the dark void," Lyra cried out. "There are too many." Elias gritted his teeth. "Horizon jump drive ready." "Unstable but operational," the AI replied. "Destination?" Elias looked at Lyra. "Anywhere but here," he said. Lyra reached forward, placing her hand on the console again. "I'll guide us," she said softly. Her eyes glowed pure white, energy crackling around her. The stars outside blurred, bending and twisting, then flash. The ship vanished into hyperspace, leaving the pursuers behind. When they emerged, the stars were different. Quieter, a red sun hung low, and fragments of ruined space stations floated nearby. "Where are we?" Elias asked. Horizon replied. "Coordinates unknown. Possible location. Seraphim Monastery ruins." Lyra's breath caught. "This is where it began," she whispered. Elias turned to her. "Where what began?" She looked at him with eyes that seemed older than time. "The war that destroyed my people," she said. "And maybe the truth of who I am." Elias stared out at the glowing ruins drifting in space, his gut tightening. He didn't know it yet, but this place held answers that would change everything. The horizon drifted slowly through the graveyard of the stars, silent and eerie. The massive fragments of old Seraphim temples floated like broken bones against the crimson sun. Elias stared through the cockpit window, the sight both beautiful and haunting. Lyra stood beside him, her small face pale under the faint glow of the ruins. "This was our sanctuary," she whispered. "Before the war," Elias frowned. "A sanctuary? Out here?" She nodded. "The Seraphim built cities in orbit. They called them places of light. Now they are only memories." The ship's AI scanned the wreckage. "Residual energy signatures detected, Captain," Horizon said. "Ancient Seraphim technology still active within the largest structure." Elias leaned forward. "Then that's where we're going." They maneuvered closer to the ruins, landing inside what once had been a massive circular chamber. The wall still shimmered faintly with traces of gold light, strange markings glowing as Lyra stepped forward. She touched the floor gently, and the ground responded, lighting up beneath her feet. "It remembers me," she said softly. Elias followed, looking around in awe. "Feels like walking inside a dream," he muttered as they entered deeper into the structure. Faint holographic images began to appear. Tall, elegant beings with wings made of energy. Seraphim. Elias stopped to watch. The hologram showed a time of peace. Humans standing beside Seraphim as equals, working together, building great cities among the stars. Lyra's eyes filled with tears. "They erased this from history," she said. "They made us enemies." Elias shook his head slowly. "No wonder they fear you, kid," he said quietly. "You're living proof that we were once friends." At the center of the hall stood a giant crystal structure pulsing with light. Lyra approached it slowly. The closer she came, the brighter it glowed. "This is the memory core," she said. "It holds everything the Seraphim once knew." Elias stepped back as the crystal projected an image. A woman who looked much like Lyra, but older, graceful, and filled with sorrow. The hologram spoke. "If you are seeing this, my child, then the war has ended in fire." Lyra's lips trembled. "Mother," she whispered. The image continued. "You carry within you the Dawn Protocol, a living key that can awaken or destroy every system in the galaxy. It was meant to bring peace, not war, but they feared it." "They feared you." Elias's breath caught. "So that's why they're hunting her," he muttered. The hologram turned its gaze toward him as if it could see him. "Human," it said. "Your kind once guarded us. You stood between light and darkness. You were not monsters. You were protectors." Elias swallowed hard, his heart pounding. "Protectors," he repeated softly. The hologram flickered again, showing flashes of ancient battles. Humans and Seraphim fighting side by side against dark mechanical fleets. Then showing betrayal. The Galactic Council ordering the purge of both races. Lyra stepped closer. "Mother, what must I do?" she asked. The image smiled sadly. "When the stars burn red again, you must choose," she said. "If you act from hatred, the dawn will destroy. If you act from compassion, it will heal." The crystal dimmed, and the hologram vanished. Lyra fell to her knees, silent tears glowing like light on her face. Elias knelt beside her. "You're not alone, Lyra," he said quietly. "We'll find a way to make this right." But before they could move, Horizon's voice echoed through the chamber. "Warning, incoming ships detected. Large fleet approaching." Elias cursed under his breath. "They found us again." Lyra stood, wiping her tears, her expression calm but fierce. "They won't stop, not until I choose," she said. Elias grabbed his rifle. "Then we'll give them something to regret," he said. As they ran back toward the ship, the ground trembled. Beams of light fired from the sky. Explosions echoing through the ruins. The Galactic fleet had arrived. Hundreds of warships surrounding the system. Inside the cockpit, Horizon's voice grew sharper. "Enemy lock detected, Captain." Elias slammed his hand on the control panel. "Prepare for launch." Lyra's eyes glowed bright again, the same white light as before. "Elias," she said softly, "if they destroy this place, the memory of my people will vanish forever." Elias looked at her. "Then we don't let that happen." She nodded, stepping to the center of the cockpit. Her light began to pulse in rhythm with the ship's systems. The Horizon shuddered as if awakening deeper than ever before. "What are you doing?" Elias asked. "I'm connecting," she said, "to every Seraphim relic in this sector." The monitors lit up and old satellites, forgotten drones and silent defense systems powered back on, forming a shimmering barrier of light around the ruins. "By the stars," Elias whispered. The Galactic Admiral's voice came through the comms, cold and mechanical. "Surrender the Seraphim, child, or be annihilated." Elias smirked. "You'll have to catch us first," he said. The first wave of missiles fired, but instead of hitting, they froze mid-flight. Their engines shutting down, Lyra stood still, her eyes like twin suns. "No more killing," she said, "no more fear." A wave of energy spread outward from the horizon, not destructive but bright and warm. It washed over the entire battlefield, disabling weapons, silencing AIs, even calming the chaotic signals of war. For a moment everything was still, silent and peaceful. Then Lyra collapsed, her light fading. Elias caught her before she hit the ground. "Hey, stay with me," he said urgently. "You did it, kid. You stopped them." She looked up weakly. It's not over yet, she whispered. The real choice is coming. Outside, the Galactic fleet hung silent, powerless, their crews staring at the human freighter that had just disarmed an entire armada without firing a single shot. Elias held her close, his heart pounding. He didn't understand how, but he knew this was only the beginning. The horizon floated in silence above the glowing ruins. The Galactic fleet surrounded them. Thousands of ships holding position, but none dared to fire. The storm of energy that Lyra had released hung in space like a golden mist. Soft and endless, Elias held the unconscious child in his arms, her skin dim and cold. Come on, kid. Wake up, he whispered. The ship's AI scanned her vitals. Her energy output is drained, Captain. She requires rest or regeneration. Elias clenched his jaw. We don't have time for rest, Horizon. On the nearby command ship, Admiral Kale of the Galactic Council stared at the readings. Impossible, he muttered. That freighter disabled our entire fleet. 1 human and 1 child? His officers stood frozen, afraid to speak. Elias laid Lyra gently on a seat, then looked out the window. You wanted a monster, he said quietly. But all she did was save you from yourselves. A soft hum filled the air. The same glow from before began to pulse again around Lyra's body. Her eyes fluttered open. They're scared, she whispered. Elias nodded. Yeah, I'd say so. She sat up slowly. Not of me, Elias. They're scared of what I remind them. That even after all their wars and lies, there's still hope. Suddenly, the comm system crackled. Human freighter, this is the Galactic Council. You are to surrender immediately. Elias laughed dryly. Sure, after you apologize for trying to kill a child, he said. There was silence on the line. Then a different voice spoke. Calm, old, tired. This is Counselor Varnhuman. What is she? Elias looked at Lyra, then answered. She's what you lost. I'm Mercy. Lyra stood, the glow around her growing brighter. They need to see, she said softly. She walked to the front window, placing her hand on the glass. Her light spread out into space again, forming shapes and memories. A vision visible to every ship. Every screen, every mind in the system, they saw the truth. The ancient alliance of humans and seraphim, the betrayal by the Council, the burning of their shared worlds, and the lie that humanity had been the destroyer, not the victim. The galaxy watched as centuries of propaganda shattered like glass. On every ship, silence followed. Some cried, some trembled, and some fell to their knees. The vision ended with a single phrase spoken in Lyra's voice. You can destroy truth, but you cannot erase compassion. Elias stepped forward, his voice steady. You see now, you feared her power, but she didn't use it to kill you, he said. She used it to remind you what being alive means. Counselor Varn's voice returned, shaking slightly. And what now, human? What do you demand? Elias looked at Lyra, then back at the screen. We don't want your gold or your fleets, he said. Just one thing. Stop calling us monsters. Lyra's light dimmed softly as she turned toward Elias. It's over, she whispered. No, he said gently. It's just beginning outside. The Galactic ships slowly powered down their weapons one by one. They began broadcasting peace codes, signals of surrender. The war that had nearly started was gone in a heartbeat. From that day, the event became known across the stars as the Dawn of Light. Some said the galaxy changed forever. Others said it was reborn. Lyra recovered over the next few days, sitting quietly in the cockpit as Elias repaired the ship's systems. Do you think they'll ever forgive themselves? She asked. Elias smiled faintly. Maybe, kid. Forgiveness takes time. The AI interrupted gently. Captain, receiving new transmissions from across the colonies. Human settlements are being contacted by alien worlds for peace negotiations. Elias leaned back in his chair. Well, I'll be damned, he said. Lyra giggled softly. You see? You did save them. Elias shook his head. No, you did. I just drove the truck, she smiled wider. Her eyes bright again. Maybe both, days later. As they prepared to leave the ruins, a small hologram appeared on the console. A message from the Galactic Council itself. To the human known as Elias Trent and the seraphim child Lyra, it said, the Council recognizes your actions as an act of peace. Humanity's name will be restored to the Galactic Registry. Elias chuckled. About time, he said. Lyra looked at him curiously. What will we do now? Elias glanced at the stars ahead. Whatever we want, he said. The galaxy's wide open. She tilted her head. Will you keep me safe? He smiled. Kid, I think you're the one keeping me safe. The horizon lifted off slowly, leaving behind the shining ruins of the Seraphim Temple. As they entered the starlit void once more, Lyra watched the fading light through the window. "Elias," she said softly, "do you think they'll remember us?" He grinned. "They'd better," he said, "because the day a human and a little girl stopped a galactic war isn't something you forget." The stars stretched ahead like endless roads of silver. The freighter's engines hummed quietly as it vanished into hyperspace, carrying a story that would echo forever across time, across every world, across every empire. Whispers began. The Seraphim Child and the Kind Human, the tale of how compassion defeated fear, and somewhere in the quiet between galaxies, the girl once abandoned and the man once forgotten sailed on toward the unknown. And so it was said that when hope had vanished from the stars, it was humanity and the heart of one small child that brought it back.